Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Middletown Planning Board, March the 5th, 2025. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll do a little housekeeping first for our transcriptionist. This evening, Mr. Brito is absent. Mr. Krogan, the planning board attorney, is present. Mr. Martinez, the building inspector, is present. And Mr. Guadry, the fire inspector, is absent. Okay, first on the agenda this evening is Rakesh Nayak, 19 North Street, eating and drinking establishment with beer and wine.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening. Please state your name for the record.
Rakesh Nayak.
And what do you plan on doing, sir?
It's Italian eatery kind of a thing. We will have sandwiches made. Nothing is cooking and baking in that premises, and sell beer and wine and some deli meats and cheese.
Okay. Ms. Tu, do we have the mailings? In that case, I'm going to open the public hearing. Anyone present wishing to address this application, please step forward. Ms. Tu, do we have anything in writing? Anyone on the phone? Then I'll go to the board for any questions, comments, or concerns.
I know Mr. Guadry is not here, but he had said he had no issues with it. So, Mr. Martinez, any issues?
All issues will be taken care of with a building permit. Okay.
Thank you.
And I believe Mr. Guadry said he had no issues with any of the items this evening.
Any of the projects, right?
Okay. All right, nothing from the board. I'll go back to the public. Anyone wishing to address this application, please step forward. None coming forward. I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing. I need a motion. Mr. McCormick, I need a second. Mr. Higbee, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Public hearing is closed. I will go to the board one more time, though, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. None being had. We'll go to the resolution for 19 North Street, eating and drinking establishment with beer and wine. I need a motion. Ms. Houston, second. Mr. Higbee. Discussion? Roll call. Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. McCormick?
Yes.
Ms. Witt?
Yes.
Ms. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Higbee?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Good luck, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate all. Thank you.
Next on our agenda is Anthony J. Valencia III, 28 to 30 West Main Street, bar.
How's it going?
Good evening.
My name's Anthony J. Valenti III, and I'm looking to open up the saloon / bar / music venue.
Thank you. Ms. Tu, do we have the mailings? In that case, I'm going to open the public hearing. Ms. Tu, do we have anything in writing? Anyone on the phone? In that case, I'll go to the public, open the public hearing. Anyone from the public wishing to address this application, please step forward. None. Anyone from the board? Questions, comments, or concerns?
It's actually an eating and drinking establishment, right?
That's how we have to approve it. Eating, drinking with the alcohol you get through the SLA.
That's correct, sir.
Okay. All right, back to,
And again, Mr. Martinez, any comments?
No problems.
Thank you.
I'll go back to the public. Anyone wishing to address this application, please step forward. None coming forward. I will ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Mr. McCormick, second, Ms. Witt. All in favor?
Aye.
Board, one more time. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Just that we need to waive parking because it's DMU, right?
It's in the resolution.
Okay.
Yep. Anything else from the board? Okay. On the resolution for 28 to 30 West Main Street, It'd be a bar with it'd be eating and drinking establishment with an alcohol license, okay? Yes, Mr. McCormick?
Is there a kitchen in the facility for eating and drinking? How is that gonna?
We're going to go off of what the SLA provided us for food-wise. There is a kitchen, I believe, in the back of the building, but we are not necessarily going to use that.
What kind of food will you be providing?
As of right now, the SLA that we got with them just under guidance, and it was just like basic like pretzels, Hot Pockets, things of that nature, hot dogs, things like that.
And is that okay with Mr. Guattari in terms of preparing it on site and that meets the standards?
Mike will have to review it once it's up and ready to go.
Thank you.
He needed a kitchen on the plan because that's what we require, and that's what the SLA will require. And he'll deal with the SLA on his own. Mr. Madden?
And 2 AM is a permitted time in the DMU?
If it's on a Friday or a Saturday,
Okay,
the rest of the time is midnight.
thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, he'll be restricted by the DMU hours, yes. Any other questions? Okay, on the resolution. I had a motion by Mr. McCormick for 28 to 30 West Main Street. I need a second. Mr. Madden? Discussion? Roll call. Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. McCormick?
Yes.
Ms. Witt?
Yes.
Ms. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Higbee?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Good luck, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Next on the agenda, SB Dolson Realty LLC, 250 Dolson Avenue, self-storage facility. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Zach Sabo, Engineering and Surveying Properties. Just a little history on this project. We had been in front of the board for an informal meeting back in July, I believe. It was more of an informational meeting, as this project takes place mostly in the town of Wawayanda. The building resides entirely in the town of Wawayanda. However, there are improvements that are in the city of Middletown. So the improvements that are in the city of Middletown include parking that is land banked only, and utility, stormwater, sewer, and water would come through the city. So I guess this is a public hearing, so I can give a little bit more explanation. The project is located in the rear of a larger parcel that spans 3 separate parcels that is split by the town of Wawayanda, city of Middletown line. It's adjacent to the Dunkin' Donuts that was constructed at the corner of James P. Kelly Way and Route 17M. Right now, there's only 2 access points at that site, one coming off of 17M and one coming off of James P. Kelly Way. With this project, we're proposing to have a connection point with Middletown Bypass, which is near the mobile station at the corner of 17M and Middletown Bypass. There is a common use and access roadway there that the mobile uses, and we're proposing to improve it and connect to our facility. We have some additional land bank parking, and that's pretty much it. It's straightforward. The town of Wawayanda has reviewed the project. We've had public hearings at the town of Wawayanda. They issued a negative declaration back in December, and we're here to present to the city of Middletown.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Tu, do we have the mailings? In that case, I'm going to open the public hearing. Ms. Tu, do we have anything in writing? Anything anybody on the phone? I'm going to open it up to the public then. Anyone wishing to address this application, please step forward. Okay. Anyone from the board? Questions, comments, or concerns? Mr. Madden?
Would you mind just taking your microphone and going over and explaining to us the map that you're presenting to us?
Sure. So, what's existing now, the Dunkin' Donuts facility that has access off of Route 17M and James P. Kelly Way, but it comes to a dead end in this location. We're planning to extend the roadway. All the constructed parking that the town of Wawayanda approved is within the town of Wawayanda boundary, but we do have land bank parking in the city of Middletown boundary, and that we don't anticipate that we would have to construct those, but there is a mechanism in place that if the town of Wawayanda deems that we need to construct them, that we will. We're constructing a 35,269 square foot per floor facility that is 3 stories, so it comes out to roughly 100 and some change. We have a loading area that's here and a garage that connects into the building where people can take box trucks and drop off their stuff. Everything is interior to the building. There's no exterior storage. I guess another thing I can mention is the utility easement. We've been in contact with Orange and Rockland through the process in not affecting their easement. We're still reaching out to them and awaiting their approval at this time. We have active applications to the health department for a water main extension. We're proposing a hydrant at the corner here and a hydrant at the entrance. And same thing for the DEC for sewer main extension.
You wouldn't happen to have a rendering of the building with you tonight, do you?
Not tonight.
Okay.
I can certainly provide it to the board. I can send it over, digital copies, but no, not tonight.
Yeah, please. Yeah, just making sure that's what it's going to look like, that's all.
Yeah, no problem.
Just so the board and the public knows is that our engineers have still looked at this, even though this is not our project. They still look at it. Our Commissioner of Public Works looks at it. So everything is in order as far as we're concerned, even though we have a very small segment of the project. All right. Yes, Ms. Houston.
I just was wondering which first responders would go to his, if there were needed? Would it be Middletown or Wawayanda, or?
I would assume
So
Middletown.
there are a lot of
Yeah.
nuances to this project, specifically in terms of utilities. There are multiple agreements that need to be in place. We're still working through those with the attorney right now. I believe, in terms of fire, I believe it's Howells.
Okay.
We've reached out to them. They've reviewed the plan for fire safety.
Okay,
It's hard to say for police, but yeah, I'm not quite sure. I would assume it'd be Town of Wawayanda, but
the main basis of my question had to do with the fire areas for fire trucks and stuff that had been reviewed for the correct measurements to make sure they had proper access in case there was ever an issue.
yeah, we've reached out to them. We've provided truck turning templates showing that the trucks can move through the site, and we've shown that we've had adequate distance from the building and width to accommodate a ladder truck.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ms. Sweet, you had a question?
Has there been a traffic study done? Because you were saying you're proposing having a new or embellishing on what currently is there with the mobile station?
Yeah, so through the seeker process with Town of Wawayanda, we provided a traffic letter to the DOT. They did not see an issue with the project. These facilities are typically very low traffic counts because people are coming and going. I mean, people, I know I go to my storage unit maybe once every month. So it's very infrequent. I believe our peak traffic rate was around, I'd have to check, but I believe it was around 11 at peak. So it's very low impact, and the DOT did not have an issue with it.
You don't have anything to present to us regarding the traffic study?
We did not prepare a traffic study. We didn't believe that it was warranted. The Town of Wawayanda didn't, and neither did the DOT. I can certainly prepare or provide you with that letter that we prepared That's no issue. But yeah, I can give you everything that town, I believe the town, or the city had been copied on any correspondence that we had with the town as an interested agency, so, but I can certainly provide it to the board.
Do you want it for the record? We can have it on record. Send it to Martina, and we'll put it in the file.
Sounds good.
Okay. And also for the record, the applicant has supplied a wet rendering to look at. Thank you.
The common driveway, you said you were working on it, so it's not agreed as of yet?
We do not have final approval at this time. It is a condition of the final approval.
It is a
So,
condition by Wayway Yonda?
by Wayway Yonda. We have to prepare all the agreements, and they have to be given to the city and to the town prior to our final approval.
Great, thank you.
And then it splits at the traffic circle on the GMP That's right.
Anything else from the board? I'll go back to the public one more time. Anyone here wishing to address this application, please step forward. Then, no one coming forward, I will ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Ms. Witt, motion second by Ms. Houston. All in favor? Aye. Public hearing has been closed. But I will give the board one more chance to make any comments. None being had. On the resolution for SB Dolson Realty LLC, 250 Dolson Avenue, self-storage facility. I need a motion to approve. Ms. Houston, I need a second. Mr. Higbee? Discussion? Roll call. Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. McCormick?
Yes.
Ms. Witt?
Yes.
Ms. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Higbee?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Thank you.
Good luck, sir.
Have a good one.
Next on our agenda, Franco Fidanza, 203 to 213 Wickham Avenue, self-storage facility. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Joseph Thompson, architect with the property owner, Franco Fidanza. The property that we're presenting this evening was reviewed by the board approximately 5 years ago, back when we reformatted the parking, made improvements to the site layout, significant improvements to the building facade, and reorganized a lot of the tenancies. Now Golden Area is closing, which is the subject of the current request, that space will be vacated. And so what we'd like to propose in its place is to fill that volume that was once occupied by Golden Area with a self-storage tenancy.
Okay, great. Ms. Tu, do we have the mailings? In that case, I'll open the public hearing. Ms. Tu, do we have anything in writing? Anyone on the phone? In that case, anyone here from the public wishing to address this application, please step forward. Okay. Board, anyone from the board have any questions, comments, or concerns? None being-
Sexto, any concerns? Are you changing anything on the outside?
Aside from a new sign that we'll file a permit for, no additional improvement proposed to the exterior.
It'll look exactly the same as it looks today.
Exactly.
Yes, Mr. McCormick.
Will the basement be used for storage too, or is that just on here as a point of reference?
No, it will be. So similar to Golden Area always used that for storage as well. We plan to. It has good access to the rear. There's actually a ramp that allow for load in, load out, multiple staircases connecting it to the upper level. So that tenancy would be planned to occupy both the first floor and the basement space that Golden Area formerly occupied.
Any other questions? No? Okay, back to the public. Anyone present wishing to address this application, please step forward. Okay, in that case, no comments. Need a motion. You need to, you want to say something, Mr.?
At some point.
Okay. I need a motion to close the public hearing. Mr. McCormick, second Mr. Higbee. All in favor? Aye. That being said, I'll go to the board one more time for any questions, comments, or concerns. Yes, Mr. Madden.
Do you have an estimate for the number of individual storage facilities there will be, and then an estimate for traffic count? I know storage units, self-storage units don't usually generate a lot of traffic, but that corner has become a bit of a hardship with traffic.
That's why we think this tenant could be very appropriate here, because it'll be significantly less volume than retail. To the point of the prior application, the trip generation that results from self-storage is pretty low when we talk about different types of tenancies that might occupy the space. So we expect that actually alleviate some of the parking conditions and lead to more availability in general for the other tenants in the plaza, which should work well for them. The number of units themselves, we have a company that's evaluating the space. I don't know if did they produce a final plan or not yet?
They're all by different sizes,
Yeah.
depending if they're gonna be bigger or smaller. A lot bigger is gonna, of course, be less units, but there's 5x10, 8x10 units that are gonna be, and sizable for the space that's kind of, the usage will be used according to, of course, whatever. Again, like the gentleman prior to this, once you visited storage, once you put something, it's usually once a month. Golden area had a lot more traffic flow than storage would be here. And a lot of it's gonna come in from the back end, because the back end has the ramps going down, so access through the back is gonna probably bring the people to the back to unload, to put, stuff inside their storage.
Just for the record, for our transcriptionists, that was Mr. Franco Fidanza that commented, so she knows who it was, that's all. I'm sorry, Mr. Madden, go ahead.
And on the site plan, the numbers to the rear of the facility, are those individual parking spaces?
These are, so those spaces were part of the original site plan from 5 years ago. And so my understanding, their use is typically staff would park back there.
And there is enough room, I have never been back there, for a car or a truck to be parked back there and then still not blocking access for another vehicle to go past it?
So there is some tandem parking. So like spaces 37, 38, and 9, those are in tandem. So those would have to be coordinated with, staff from a single, it's not public parking. This would be for the employees of the businesses. So public access would all be from the front.
But you were saying loading into the self-storage units would be from the back, would be,
For basement units, we could accommodate for like a box truck if it's scheduled. So that might be something that maybe on a scheduled basis, we might provide that. But that wouldn't be without, coordination with the operator. And that, again, the access would have to be pre-authorized and scheduled, so you wouldn't be able to just come in as like a retail customer with your car back there. But on occasion, I think that arrangements could be made and coordinated to allow for a larger truck to access.
I just want to address the access, is that the applicant has supplied us, on that plan, you'll see 2 or 3 agreements for access.
3 easements.
3 easements, so that the people around it will not be impeded. They'll have, and his clients will have access. I'm sorry, Ms. Swift, go ahead.
So this probably piggybacks off of what you were just saying.
Okay.
So there's residential off of Wisner where they're coming in. So will they be going that way to gain access for drop-off, or is the gain access only from the front of the building?
I would say probably 95% or more of the regular usage, which is not that high volume, would be all from the front. And so again, any rear access would be scheduled. Large, volume transitions in and out would probably be very infrequent, so I don't expect that it would be a nuisance.
It's a tight space back there, that's
It
why.
is,
So that's why I'm asking. And residential is right there, so, okay, thank you.
Anybody else from the board? Questions? Yes, Mr. McCormick.
Is there a plan to put a freight elevator in or something to facilitate getting stuff from the front downstairs into the basement, or?
Not currently, but I suppose if the tenant that leases the space, finds that they're having trouble like fully leasing the bottom spaces because of lack of one, that we would probably come back with a permit application
That was
to
my,
install.
just, yeah,
Initially on day one, no. I think what they'll probably try to do is lease up the full first floor, which would be probably the optimal spaces to have. And then once they have that 100% occupied, then they would probably start to work on the basement. And if there's a need, then they would probably.
excuse me. Thank you. Do they have to come back to us if they want to put an elevator in, or? I'm just curious.
Yes, and also, I was going to add any vacant spots that they have right now. They need to come back to us and notify us. that they're filling that
Filling the
space. Okay, we had a small problem with that, but
So tonight, we're approving storage on top and upstairs and downstairs, correct?
correct.
Thank you.
It would be an amended site plan.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, with the elevator, though, that's internal. Would that actually require board oversight to add?
Well, not so much board oversight, but we would have to let the DPW know what you're doing,
Okay,
okay? I
happy to
mean,
do that.
yeah, just, if you just applied to us, we could go from there.
Happy to do that.
Same thing with your tenants. Now, if you get another tenant, you need to come back to us.
So that's for any of the tenancies?
Any of the retail
If-
spots.
If it is a, in similar kinds, let's say it's a barber shop and another barber's coming in, it's just a change in an operator, would that trigger that review, or only if it's a change in actual use, like a different type of tenancy?
It would trigger that. You'd still have to come to us just to let us know what's going on, because if the uses is the same within the year, and it's the same exact barber shop style thing, you wouldn't have to come here, but it was a matter of notification.
Okay, we'll make sure we check with the planning department before we take action then in
Thank
the
you.
future.
Okay, that's it for the board. No more questions or comments. In that case, for 203 to 213 Wickham Avenue, self-storage facility, we have a resolution. I need a motion. Ms. Houston, I need a second. Mr. McCormick, discussion. Roll call. Mr. Madden.
Yes.
Mr. McCormick.
Yes.
Ms. Witt.
Yes.
Ms. Houston.
Yes.
Mr. Higbee.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Next on the agenda, Spring Hollow HOA Wood Lake Drive, expansion of 21 decks. How you doing?
Hi.
State your name for the record, please.
My name's Barbara Shatwell. I'm the property manager.
Okay. So the plan is the certain units are going to get their decks expanded to a certain size?
There's 44 units in the complex. 21 of them are going to be extended from 10 by 8 to 20 by 8.
Okay, gotcha. Ms. Tu, do we have the mailings? Okay, in that case, I'm going to open the public hearing.
Do you have a set of drawings with you?
We have the site plan, and I have the units that are being extended highlighted. I can give you that.
Oh, well, it was just so that the public can see it.
Oh, okay, yeah, I have it out here.
And if anyone has any questions, I know there were questions about the unit numbers, but
Can I open the
Yep.
public hearing now?
yes, you can. Sorry.
Going to open the public hearing. We have the mailings. Ms. Tu, do you have anything in writing? No one on the phone? Anyone present wishing to address this application, please step forward. In that case, I'm going to go to the board for any questions, comments, or concerns.
Sexto, any concerns?
No concerns at this time.
And it's just an expansion of a deck that's already there.
Yes.
You're just adding, making it bigger.
Right. We're not going out. It's all 8 feet, but we're just going long ways to get along the building. So it's, originally 10 by 8, this will be 20 by 8.
Thank you.
And since you are the HOA, we know you have permission to do it. They have
Yes.
permission to do it. Okay, good. You have a question? Okay.
No.
I'll go back to the public one more time. Anyone wishing to address the application, please step forward. No one coming forward. I need a motion to close the public hearing. Mr. Higbee, second, Ms. Houston, all in favor? Aye. Public hearing being closed. I'll go to the board one more time. Comments, questions? Okay, that being said, on the resolution, Spring Hollow HOA Wood Lake Drive, expansion of 21 existing decks. I need a motion. Mr. Madden, I need a second. Ms. Houston? Discussion? Roll call. Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. McCormick? Ms.
Yes.
Witt? Sorry. Ms. Witt?
Yes.
Ms. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Higbee?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
See you at the building department. All right, next on our agenda is Fior de la Cruz, 156 Dolson Avenue, eating and drinking established, wine and beer license. Good evening. Please state your name for the record,
Fior de la Cruz.
okay? And you have an existing eating and drinking establishment. You're here because you want to go for a wine and beer license.
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Tu, do we have the mailings? Yes. Okay, in that case, I'll open the public hearing. Ms. Tu, do we have anything in writing? Anyone on the phone? Okay, the public, anyone from the public wishing to address this application, please step forward. No one stepping forward. I'll go to the board. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Mr. Martinez, do you have any concerns?
No concerns at this time.
Okay. Yes, Ms. Witt?
Just have a question. Are your hours Monday through Sunday, or is it Monday through Saturday?
Sunday.
Sunday, okay, thank you. I don't want to assume, but thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I'll go back to the public. Anyone wishing to address this application, please step forward. No one coming forward. I need a motion to close this public hearing. Ms. Witt, second. Mr. Madden. All in favor? Aye. Okay. That being said, I'll give the board one more shot. Nope. Okay. On the resolution for 156 Dolson Avenue, eating and drinking establishment, wine and beer license, I need a motion. Mr. Madden, Mr. McCormick, second. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. McCormick?
Yes.
Ms. Witt?
Yes.
Ms. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Higbee?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, Promenade, Middletown, LLC, 60 to 78 Fulton, in addition of memory care unit to an existing adult care facility.
Hi, I'm Brian Konevsky. I'm the architect. I'm here with Avi Weinberg, the civil engineer. We were here a couple of months back for an informal meeting, and now we're here to address the comments that were made. Quick overview. This is an addition to the already existing assisted living facility. We are actually not adding any new beds. We are transferring beds from the general population of the assisted living to memory care, and that's 24 beds. In addition, we're having a small addition to enlarge the assisted living facility at the front, but the memory care is a one-story addition out in the back. I'm going to let Avi Weinberg, the civil engineer, go over the changes to the site because there were some concerns about 360 access from the previous meeting in regards to fire truck access and access to the site in general.
Thank you, Brian. Avi Weinberg, Weinberg Lim Engineering, here on behalf of the applicant. The architect was here previously, a couple of months back, as he mentioned, to present the plan. The original plan, the expansion, was again, had the same use, same amount of, again, no increase in beds, same functionality. It just took up a larger footprint. One concern we got a comment letter with a few comments back from the engineer, and one of the main concerns was that the fire department, you know, without any additions, this site, the fire trucks can access it all the way around. There was pavement all the way around, and they were able to loop around and access all sides of the building. With the expansion, we were choking off this 360-degree loop by adding this extension in the rear. What we have done since is we went back to the drawing board, we reconfigured this proposed expansion, and we also reached out to the fire department to determine which truck, you know, their largest model truck that they have, and based off of that, we created this little roadway in the rear for the fire department to be able to access. We ran the turn, I've got it on this side of the board, as you guys can see, this was submitted. We ran the truck turn for the fire department to review. We have not heard anything back from them yet in writing, although, it seems like from what we've heard that they are okay with it. And we've provided this fire lane for them. In addition, we've just also enhanced the site. We've created, an additional drop-off area in the rear for, the entrance to the proposed memory care unit, so people could, come directly to the back and park. We've added some handicap ADA parking, ADA accessible parking in the rear. And more importantly, we've taken away some excess pavement in the site and created some landscaped areas so as not to increase impervious coverage as well as to enhance the look of the site. I know the architect also has some renderings here. Here, just put on top. All right.
This is the back of the memory care.
Please speak into the microphone.
This is the back of where that truck access is. This is the entry into the memory care unit. Couple of different views of that memory care unit. I think it does enhance the already nice look of the assisted living facility.
Keep in mind that you'll have to go before the Architectural Review Board.
Tomorrow.
Okay,
That's our meeting tomorrow,
Okay.
tomorrow morning.
Great.
But I just wanted to show you this as well. We're really trying to enhance the look of the building. The front of the building will look almost like townhouse-esque, residential, modern, but yet it's very timeless in terms of its design.
So at this point, I don't know if the neg deck was declared lead, I don't know what the process is, but we're, seeking to move this along.
right. And just so the board knows that Mr. Guadry has reviewed it, has commented, worked with the architect and engineer on the fire access, and he's in agreement. So, just so you know. Okay?
Perfect.
I'll go to the public. Anyone wishing to address this application, please step forward. I'll go to the board. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Okay. That being said, anyone, again, from the public wishing to address the application, please step forward. No one stepping forward. I'll need a motion to close the public hearing. Ms. Whip? Mr. McCormick, second. All in favor? Aye. Public hearing is closed. I'll give the board one more shot. Any other questions? Okay, so basically, we're going to vote this evening on your project, so you can proceed, start doing what you have planned to do, okay?
And it'll be subject, obviously, to anything that the Architectural Review Board has as well.
It's all in your resolution, and DPW.
And all of
codes.
them, and then at that point, it's just addressing those comments and going to the building department to get the permit.
Correct.
Perfect.
Correct. Okay? All right, that being said, on the resolution, Promenade, Middletown, LLC, 68 to 78 Fulton Street, in addition of memory care unit to an existing adult care facility. I need a motion, Ms. Witt, I need a second, Mr. Higbee. Discussion? Roll call. Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. McCormick?
Yes.
Ms. Witt?
Yes.
Ms. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Higbee?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda, we have a couple of preliminaries. They're not for action, but for future presentation, possible action at a date not yet determined. First up, would be Trodial Developers, Inc., 33 Mulberry Street, commercial/residential complex. This will be a Must be a ton of explanation here.
I would like to, I'm the architect, John Sirocco.
Yes.
For the applicant. I would like to hand out 11 by 17.
Sure. They don't bite a lot. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is their first preliminary, right? Yeah. Just so the board's aware, this is their first preliminary. There's been a lot of ongoing conversation and meetings based on what you're about to, these gentlemen are about to present to you. So, and there's going to be some explanations along the way. Please, yeah, when you speak, please identify yourself. Yep.
Yeah, sure. John Sirocco, I'm the principal of John Sirocco Architect. I'm the architect for the project. Oh, okay. So we've been working with the town pretty diligently to get together a comprehensive set of drawings and a site plan for a proposed 100-unit residential project with some commercial on the old tannery factory at the corner of Fulton and Wawayanda Street. This is on PB1. The drawings I just handed out are these. On the cover page, you just see a bird's eye view of the project. What I'm going to do is just first give you an overview of the overall planning and organization of the project, and then we could get into whatever details you might want to hear or have us explain further. This is Fulton running this way. We have Mulberry on the back side of the project, and this is Wawayanda here. This is the long three-story corner building that fronts Mosa and Wawayanda. Then, of course, we have a four-story on the corner of Fulton and Mulberry. I'm sorry, there's another three-story, and then on Mulberry, we have a four-story. It steps down. Excuse me, you have to talk into the mic. Oh, I'm sorry. We have a two-story along Mulberry, and then we have another two-story and a one-story. So basically, it's a very interesting complex of historic buildings, and it's an important aspect of the project is to apply for landmark status for the project and work with SHPO on that process. Before we get into the aesthetics or the renderings, I just want to walk you through the floor plan so you just get a feel for the project a little bit. If we go to PB 200, it takes you to the first floor plan. Again, we have Wawayanda at the bottom, Fulton on the right, Mulberry on top. And between the two buildings on Mulberry, there's that existing entranceway to the courtyard of the site. That's where all the current tractor trailers were coming in. And there's a lot of surface parking in that courtyard when it was previously a factory. What we're looking to do now is make that the main drive entrance to the site. And then all the surface parking will be towards the west end of the site, and we're proposing a one-story parking garage along the empty parking lot along Wawayanda. It's partially cut off. I have that extended a little further. We basically broke the site up, the building structures, into three separate buildings. One building with its own lobby, entrance, elevator, egress stairs, along Wawayanda and a portion up on Fulton. So that's this portion here with an entrance right across from the entrance off of Mulberry. And then we have a second lobby with an elevator entrance on Mulberry for this portion of the building. And then we have this standalone, a smaller building here that has 6 units in this building and some commercial space. We have a business center and a commercial gym along Mulberry. All of this, everything you see here is all existing structures except for the parking garage, which I'll walk you through in a few minutes. And then we added a elevator lobby, an elevator, and a egress stair in the courtyard to service this building. This portion here, which will be developed on the site plan, will be a courtyard for outdoor recreation space. I'll walk you through, well, let me just give you an apartment count. So we have a range of, let me get this right. We have 74 one-bedroom apartments, all a minimum of 750 square feet. They range from size from 750 to 870, but the minimum size is 750. And then we have 26 two-bedroom apartments, 850 square foot minimum, and they range from 850 square feet to 1,165 square feet. So when we go back to PB 200, we have all the apartments laid out. We show these square footages for each of the apartments. And basically, if we go up to the second floor in PB 200, you could see more clearly the organization of the apartments. We have a corridor running around each of the buildings, connecting it to 2 egress stairs, elevators, trash chutes, things like that. Regarding the amenity spaces, as I say, going back to the first floor, we have the outdoor recreation space, which will be developed on the site plan. Then what we're calling the south lobby, the building on Wawayanda, we have a large lobby there with the management office. And then, of course, we have the gym that's used for both the public and the tenants of the building. And we have a business center that can be used for both the public and the tenants of the building. Let's see. When we go to PB 202, we see the third floor, and the third floor gets a little interesting because we begin to introduce what we call loft apartments. So if we look at one of these apartments on Wawayanda, we see this hatched area in the middle of the apartment, and that is a loft that's built in. These old buildings have these beautiful wood trusses to hold up the roof, and we're taking advantage of that space up there by building a loft in that truss area. So these apartments have a living room and a kitchen on the first floor, bathroom on the main floor, a bathroom, washer dryer, and a bedroom, and then they have a ship's ladder that goes up to a loft. So when we go to the fourth floor on PB 203, we see all these loft areas that are perched up between the trusses, between the roof trusses. So, jumping around a little bit, but if you go to PB 400, that's our last drawing in that handout I gave you. This is one of the typical loft apartments. So the third floor, which is the main floor of the apartment, has a kitchen area, has a bedroom area, a bathroom, washer, dryer, hot water heater, various closets, and then it has ship's ladders going up to these loft areas that would be used as studies or be used as storage, whatever the tenant wants, but clearly not for bedrooms. Excuse me. And then this here is a section through the building along Wawayanda, where we have the third floor apartment with the ship's ladder going up into this loft. And I just want to mention that we worked very closely with Mr. Martinez regarding code issues for the lofts in terms of ceiling height, areas, access to the loft, and what could be done up in that loft or what can't be done up in that loft. So that's kind of an overall picture of the project, just to go through the renderings. So again, this is a bird's eye view. This is the parking garage to the west end of the site that's being built on the vacant lot, the vacant portion of the lot. I think we have a rendering of that. Let's see. So on PB 101, this is the westerly end of the existing building on Wawayanda. And then you could begin to see the beginning of the parking garage that we're proposing along Wawayanda. It's basically surface parking a couple of feet below the sidewalk, 2, 3, 4 feet below the sidewalk, and then we have a parking deck built on top of it. So it's surface parking and a second floor parking. But we're not putting a roof over the second floor parking, so it's really only about, it varies depending on where you are on the sidewalk, but it's only about 8 to 10 feet high in that range off of Wawayanda.
Built the county one would be used too, I think.
This is all the existing building, existing window openings. We're working with SHPO with the detailing of the exterior of the building, obviously. Yeah, sure.
So, my name is Patrick Ciccone. I'm the historic consultant on the project. Just a few big picture things as you look at this building. As John said, we're listing it on the National Register of Historic Places so that we can gain access to some tools to help renovate the building. That imposes some constraints on the design, most of them on the exterior. But the state and ultimately National Park Service does look at the exterior of the interior of the building. This is also within the DMU, so we will also need ARB approval. We've had a very, very preliminary meeting with ARB, working on, now that this has been calendared, working on subsequent meetings with ARB. On these renderings, we're currently showing the building as white because it's been painted white. We believe, though, we're going to explore this more, that stripping the paint off the building may damage the masonry to the extent that will jeopardize the integrity of the building. So we're currently showing it white, and then almost as a holding color here. These windows are just shown as gray on the drawing. We're going to determine and work on an appropriate color with the ARB there. And again, the general philosophy here is that the exterior elevations of the building will largely appear as they are, except we're restoring certain window openings to their original height, doors to their original appearance, and then taking a little bit of freer hand on the interior. And as John said, that this building is really, really, really challenging because it's a leather tannery designed for a completely different era and not for apartments. So we're working with building code, historic constraints, and other things to make this a successful project. But I think that some of these choices are about appropriate compromise. So that's sort of how we're treating the historic part of the design. Then with the garage, we are satisfying all the parking requirements on the tax parcel, both for reasons of practicality but historic compatibility. That really needs to be a horizontal addition that's completely separate and not mistaken for the building itself. Luckily, we have the space, and then Ryan can also speak to some of the actual calculations behind the parking and other zoning requirements as necessary.
Patrick, my name is Ryan Fellenzer with Fellenzer Engineering, a civil engineer for the applicant. So I'm pretty excited about this project because, like many of you, I'm sure you've seen this building your entire life, and it's I feel like something finally happened with it, so it's kind of cool to see that. But I'm sure there's been many applications for this over the years, but this is the one I'm involved with, so I don't know. It's kind of cool. So the most significant, really, the impact to the parcel in terms of the site is what John and Patrick had mentioned, is the parking structure. And John alluded to a little bit that it's not going to be visually impactful to the extent that you would normally think of a parking structure, like maybe the one at Ock or something like that. But we're taking advantage of the topography of the back end of the site to sink the parking structure, if you will. So it's kind of a split level elevation. So cars will be able to access it off of Wawayanda for the upper level. So it just won't be as tall as you would think a parking structure would be. Parking, in general, we wanted to apply the minimum per code requirements on the site itself. That was the reasoning for a parking structure, was to have every parking spot needed, to have it on that tax parcel, as Patrick had mentioned. And calculation-wise, so we did it off of per city code, and it's based on a certain number of spaces per dwelling unit. And the code is it is located in the DMU. However, for this particular use, we do have reference to another section of zoning code, which I think it's R1 or R3, in terms of the parking and what you need per 1 and 2 bedroom units. So for the 74 one bedroom units, we did 1.75 spaces per 1 bedroom unit, and then 2 spaces per 2 bedroom. When you do that calculation, we come up with 182 spaces, and that's just for the residential portion. For the commercial space, we did a typical retail, which is 1 per 300 square feet. So about 1,300 square feet. So we calculated for another 5 spaces, and you add those together at 187. And then we provided 182 and the 10 for commercial. So we're at about we're at 192 currently shown.
And parking provided is what?
192.
192.
And you needed 187?
Correct.
182 you needed. Oh, I'm sorry. No, the commercial, 187.
That's correct.
So I just want to start with a couple questions, and then I'll have to explain to the board some of the decisions that we have to make, okay, as far as this project is concerned. The business center, is that business center for the residents of this complex?
Yeah, let me just, so we have the business center is off of Mulberry, and we have a door that facing the courtyard, facing the parking garage, that would be convenient for the tenants, and we also have a door off of Mulberry. So we see it as a dual-use business center.
So it could be for open to the public?
Open to the public,
Okay.
you know, renting computer space, however it's set up. Renting time for a conference room.
Right.
However.
I'm only asking the question because it's going to become part of your parking calculation when we get all done, all right?
Well,
you-
I believe you took that into consideration, yeah.
So we have, which is part of the commercial space.
Right.
There's 5 spaces.
Did you include the gym in that commercial space or the gym for the residents only?
So the gym is for the residents.
It'll be dual purpose.
So it'll be open to the public?
Yeah, it'll be open to both the public and the, and the tenants, yeah.
Okay.
And again, we have a
So
door.
they might be a little short on parking for that?
Yeah, maybe.
Right, and we have a door on each side of the gym, you know, a
Right.
door for the public and a door for the tenants.
Because part of this process is they're also here for the planning board to relieve them of commercial on the first floor, because it's a DMU, okay? Right now, they have residential, but the DMU, they can't have that. But the planning board has the ability, because it's in the DMU and only the planning board, is to waive that, okay? So, they had to meet a criteria in the list of the code in order to get to this point where they are right now. The building's over 35,000 square feet. That was the first criteria. They meet that. So now they moved on to the second one. The second one was, and it was a construction issue over the lofts, how they would be viewed. They're now been worked out with Mr. Martinez, how they need to be built, so they can qualify, the loft can qualify as living space, not necessarily the loft itself, but the apartment they represent as living space. They become a one-bedroom apartment, okay? So they've crossed that hurdle, I met that hurdle. The next one, and now they're here presenting so that you folks can see where we're coming down to, okay? The next step is, we're going to have to waive, I guess, waive residential, not commercial.
Right.
Okay, so as you can see, the first floor of the major building, the two buildings they call it, the north and south, or west and?
We have a south building, which is along Mulberry.
Right.
We have the north building, which is on the corner of Mulberry and Fulton, and we have what we.
Please speak into the microphone.
John.
Okay.
You're weaving. Okay, real quick. We have the south building on Wawayanda, the existing south building. We have what we're calling the north building with its own north lobby on the corner of Fulton and Mulberry. And then we have the commercial building, which has commercial on portion of the ground floor, but it also has 6 residential. We call that the west. So we have the west, south, and north.
So I'm going to, Mr. Krogan just corrected me, we'll be waiving the commercial, because the commercial is what is required by code. So in this case, the north and south building, that's the major building, has residential on the first floor. So we're going to have to waive the commercial and say, that's okay to do that. So we have to do that as a planning board when we do the resolution, okay? The west building, we're not going to give you the waiver. You're going to have, the first floor will have to be all commercial. The two
That's
bedrooms
something we spoke to about,
Yeah.
with Mr. Martinez about.
Yep.
We didn't present plans reflecting that. We show a few apartments on a portion of the ground floor
That's
of the
fine.
west
Yeah.
building. And then we have a few more apartments upstairs. It's a walk-up building, so we're not totally commercial on the first floor.
That's okay. We needed to see the plans and then
Right.
explain to the board what we have to do.
Right.
Okay, so in this case, the next set of plans we'll see is that first floor will be commercial on the west building. No apartments.
Okay, it sounds pretty adamant. We would love to see let me just tell you what we're confronted with. That the building doesn't allow the complex of buildings doesn't allow itself readily for commercial space. The type of window fenestration, portions of the first floor over here are a couple of feet above sidewalk. This building it really has no windows on this side. We're putting a few in. So we're kind of struggling with SHPO in the sense that they're tying our hands as to what we could do with the exterior of the building. And then at the same,
John's saying here, it's not an impossible thing to thread, but that this elevation on this side is basically blank.
Yeah.
So there's no windows. So we've, in both the ground floor and upstairs, have actually pushed stuff to the courtyard so that we're dealing with that and leaving that there. So I think that, again, it's potentially solvable, but we're concerned that, there's not necessarily anything street-facing for a commercial use in that portion of that.
We understand, but they also can drive in the facility and park on the other side, all right? So, I mean, it's a small price to pay as far as we're concerned, because the code says they need to be all commercial on the first floor, and we're given the ability as the planning board to waive that. So your second floor can still be the one-bedroom apartments that you have planned, but that area down there needs to be somehow designed into a commercial space.
very good, understood. And that may change your parking calculations as well.
Right, a little bit. So you have a little to work on in parking. Once you do that, and we'll hear the board, see what they have to say, and, we're getting ready for the next steps. Yes, Mr. Madden?
It sounds like we're discussing waiving a lot of commercial space.
Correct.
And I'm thinking about the Classy Leather Building on Canal Street, where we did waive a certain amount, but it was a insignificant amount. And I feel like we're discussing right now waiving a significant amount of commercial space, which goes against the zoning of the DMU, and maybe setting a precedent for other projects.
Remember, each project is case by case, and they have to start with a 35,000 square foot criteria. But you are correct. It's a large amount of commercial space we're waiving, yes. Yes, Ms. Houston?
I have a few questions. You were going over the number of apartments. I didn't catch how many of the top floor, the third floor loft apartments there are.
We have 19.
19 of those? And what is the square footage on those? Minimum to maximum?
So they're one-bedroom apartments, so they do meet the 750 square foot minimum. But what we did in the plans, we showed the total apartment area in the box right below the one bedroom
Okay.
there. And then we showed the square footage of the main floor, which in this particular apartment is 600. And then we show the additional 170 square feet on the fourth floor plan. So we break it down, but the total is always the 750 square foot minimum.
Thank you.
Sure.
I just thought they were going to be bigger because they were more of a luxury type apartment. My misunderstanding. Another thing that popped up into my mind is because of the number of times over the years, I've been on the planning board since 2006, the number of times this particular property has come up in question. There was always concern about toxins due to the tannery and the pantyhose industry. What has been determined in that department?
Yeah, I know there was a phase one done. It's just not my field of expertise, but ownership has given us a green light to move forward in terms of developing plans. Oh, okay. You want to speak to it, Ryan?
Yeah, and I was just going to mention that we can touch base with the owner for the existing information that they do have in terms of a phase one, but I think a lot of this information will also be presented as part of the secret process. Just looking through my EAF here, that the proposed action adjoining property has been the subject of remediation, and it listed the O&R Middletown Fulton Street gas plant. But I didn't see anything for the parcel in question, our parcel, directly at least listed with any of the state remediation lists.
Okay, thank you. Of course, our first and foremost concern would be for the safety of whoever would be in the building.
Of course, of course.
And finally, and you mentioned the word, but it came up while you were speaking in my mind to ask about the phases in which this is going to be organized and implemented because of the tight traffic in that area with work trucks coming in and out. What is the plan for the phasing of the work truck to make traffic flows safe and, the public
So this is more like a construction phasing?
Yes.
How that is? Do we have any particular?
Respond to that. We're very fortunate in the sense that the main entrance to the site is off of Mulberry, which is a relatively quiet, it's a quiet street. So that helps us tremendously. The other thing is we do have this spacious courtyard. I mean, right now there are tractor trailers pulling in and out of or there were up until the building vacated. So there's plenty of room to stage all the construction.
Okay.
Also, the existing buildings have really no heavy construction going on. We're not bringing a crane in or anything like that. The parking garage is a little bit of work. We're going to be dropping columns, so the steel's going to be 15, 20 feet long beams. But again, it's not crazy, and we're very confident that all of that could be staged within the courtyard, and we could work ourselves from the west end of the property and bring the crane out through the, back through Mulberry.
Okay, and my last question at this time is about the first floor area where Chairman Capozella was talking about the possibility that might not be able to be waived for anything but public space. Is there a public restroom area planned in that area?
So the, I'm not sure how much of the fit out we did. Yes, so the business center will have its own public restroom.
Okay,
The gym will have its own public restroom. And then the lobby, this large lobby over here, we have a public restroom off the corridor.
thank you for answering
Sure.
my questions.
Mr. Martinez, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, if you can you please go over and explain to the board the loft and the use of the lofts
Yes.
with reference to the trusses?
Yeah. Okay, so there are these wood trusses that are spaced, they vary in spacing, but it's about every 8 to 11 feet. There's a truss that's not only supporting the roof, but interestingly, there's tie rods, iron tie rods, that are hanging and that are holding up the second and the third floor. So the trusses are pretty much holding up almost the entire building. Those trusses, we are not touching. SHPO will not allow us to touch them. We don't want to touch them. They're just phenomenal, aesthetically pleasing. But we do, fortunately, have enough of headroom to get accessory space up there. So the ground, the main floor of these apartments will be, as I said, a bedroom and a kitchen with a little sitting area and the bathroom. So everything the apartment, as I said, laundry, everything the apartment needs to function is on the third floor. And the ship ladder takes you up to accessory spaces, to answer your question, Mr. Martinez, a home office, just a TV room, a game room, whatever the tenant feels. But we did go into detail with Mr. Martinez when I met him a couple of weeks ago, and it will clearly be put in the lease agreement between management and the tenants that the lofts cannot be used for sleeping.
Will it also be in the CO?
Yes, it'll be in the CO. And also, I just want to point that some of these trusses are basically in the middle, so the tenants might be able to go from one side to the other, which will also be accessed through ship's ladders, one on each side. So that way, God forbid, there's an emergency, they can go down either way, okay? So there'll be 2 ladders on.
And your HVAC system is going to be for that fourth floor, so to speak, or for the loft as well?
Yeah, this apartment, you know, these one-bedroom apartments on the third floor, they're about 17 feet wide. Unfortunately, that rhythm, so we're working with the rhythm of the existing windows that we can't touch. Then we're working with the rhythm of one-bedroom apartments, and then simultaneously the rhythm of the trusses, and all 3 of them are all different things going on. So what happens is many of the apartments have a truss going through the middle of the apartment, which is this heavy line here. So what Mr. Martinez was referring to, this apartment here has a 9'9" wide loft on one side of the truss and an 8'3" wide loft on the other side of the truss. And rather than having people walk through the truss, what Mr. Martinez was very uncomfortable about, which I do agree with him about, we've provided 2 ship's ladders for each side of the loft.
Mr. McCormick?
Just from an enforcement standpoint, how do you prevent somebody from turning it into a bedroom?
Apartment inspections.
Yes, Mr. Madden.
Upper deck of your parking garage is only access from Waywayanda Avenue?
Yeah, so I didn't walk it through those plans real quick. Okay, so, yeah, we have it, yeah, I'll point that in a minute. So this is the western portion of the site, which is basically a grass lot right now.
What
And-
page are you on?
PB 205. And the first floor, which is basically the surface parking, we're going to scrape the lot a little bit. We're going to remove soil and get this lower parking level, so it's about 4 or 5 feet below sidewalk level. We want the parking structure to be as least imposing as possible on Wawayanda. So there'll be a retaining wall along the property line, along the street line with Wawayanda. And then we're entering from our courtyard. So all of this, these are all the columns and all the parking, 107 parking spaces. And then what happens is on the second floor, Wawayanda pitches up. So by the time we get all the way to the western end of the site, this second floor parking is only about 4 or 5 feet above the street. So we're going to have a ramp here. And so the second floor parking is only accessible from Wawayanda. And all of these will be dedicated parking spaces. So no tenant has to search for a parking lot. They're going to be all assigned spaces. And you can't get from this upper level to this lower level with the car. You either drive in this way and get to the second floor, or you drive in from the courtyard and get to the lower floor.
So there'll be vehicles turning left and right off of Wawayanda into the upper deck and out of the upper deck, left and right, onto Wawayanda?
Yeah, and
approximately how far is that from the intersection with Canal?
well, the parking deck itself is like 360 feet, and then, of course, this whole building, it's probably close to 600-700 feet from the corner of Fulton. So it's quite a distance.
How will you deal with snow removal on that deck? Where is that snow going to go?
We don't like snow stacked on decks. It's a structural problem. So we would most likely have it trucked off.
Thank you.
Mr. Fellenzer, before, I think you said there was 192 spots on your count,
Yeah.
but on PB 205, it shows 83 on the second floor and 107 on the first floor.
That's just the deck.
Yes, yeah. So what I should point, so we took out an apartment, and I'm not sure you picked up on that. So I apologize for the little confusion. But the other thing that I didn't mention is that we have 3 oversized parking spaces, 12 by 25, 12 by 24 parking spaces for Amazon deliveries, for Uber, for garbage trucks. We have a trash room right here serving the north building. We have a trash room over here serving the south building. So there are these 3 additional parking spaces also. But Ryan and I have to just fine tune it. But we are going to meet the requirements.
Okay.
So, and then we'll be eliminating these 2 apartments here, so our count will change again.
This is off the deck, this is off the deck. You can let them look at it. Yes.
I know Mr. McCormick was waiting too.
Oh,
Thank you. Just a quick question. I know that the 1-bedroom apartments obviously are not going to have children, but some of your 2-bedrooms could. How will you accommodate children in a play space, as was the case with one of our other historical renovations into apartments in Middletown?
Right. So first of all, I mean, you could see it if, I really didn't walk through the renderings, but real quick, if you go to PB 102, this is basically looking from the edge of the parking garage and looking into the courtyard. That's not parking. And this is our new elevator tower, our new stair tower, and our new north building lobby. And then behind that in the courtyard is outdoor recreation space. So we have the outdoor space, which we really didn't develop and plan yet. We'll work with Ryan on developing that area there. But also, right off of that space, on the first floor of the south building, of the north building, we have a 483 square foot lounge for all the tenants. Right.
Mr. McCormick?
Thank you. Just in terms of the 35,000 square foot waiver, do we have an understanding of how many buildings left in the city of Middletown would qualify for that waiver at this point that are not developed or have potential development?
No, we don't.
Maria might.
Yeah. Maria might have that list.
And then while you're up, Ms. Bruni, could you just walk the planning board through where that 35,000 waiver number came from and why it's in the code?
Well, there's not too many buildings in the DMU with the footprint of 35,000 square foot or more. And that came about because there are some challenging buildings like this one that because commercial could be challenging, especially on Wawayanda and Fulton, that corner area. So we took a look at zoning, what can we do to assist with some of these buildings? And we came up with the 35,000 square foot footprint of the building can qualify for a waiver.
Okay.
And I believe it's only like 4 or 5 buildings in the DMU. It's not many. And we've already, like Mr. Madden said, Class A leather, that went through the waiver process. And now this one's coming, but there's really not too many, so.
And the reason for that was to help get these sites potentially developed so that the
Cleaned up.
developer.
Exactly. Yeah. Like again, this one, you look at it, it is like, to do storefronts along Wawayanda, it just doesn't make sense, even Fulton, But within the courtyard where you guys are all talking about right now, it does make sense for the commercial area. So we looked at it as a economic development and planning to see how we can assist with these buildings that are challenging.
So this building was in your mind when the.
Oh, absolutely.
Gotcha. Thank you.
This was one of them.
And I think too there is, as Maria said, is that just from a historic standpoint, on the Yonda, am I getting it right? Wawayanda. I'm going to be thrown out of the room here, sorry.
No, you're good.
In the Fulton Street elevation, by the constraints of the historic design that we need with the state and National Park Service, we're really limited in openings. So it just, in this project, is sort of dependent on those to be a success. And I know we've said that we're really excited about this building, but we think that if we can make all these pieces come together, we finally have the tools and the mechanisms to actually make this project happen. But it definitely would be almost impossible from a historic standpoint to put a commercial use on that first floor on those elevations of the building.
Thank you.
Just a comment, this is a really beautiful concept of historical design.
Thank you.
So it's a matter of setting a precedent. There's only going to be I don't know how many buildings are left on that list. Yeah, but that's where the precedents would be. That's the only.
And they still have to meet the criterion.
Yeah, no matter what.
So they still have to go through the steps, through the process, and then ultimately it's up to the board. But there was a reason that these certain projects were put on that list.
Makes sense.
Anything else, guys? Nothing? Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you so much.
It was nice to have a set of plans up there and a set of plans in our hand.
Physical.
You get extra credit. I'll tell you what, yeah, this is great. I finally can follow it. Okay, we have one more preliminary on the agenda, 328 Highland Avenue.
have one plan, so now that you said that.
Thank you.
They have just set the bar.
My name is Todd. I'm with Fusco Engineering, and this is Brian O'Connell, and he's part owner of the property.
Okay.
So we have a we have a small 2/3 of an acre property off of Highland Extension. It's in the I-2 district. It's kind of a small peninsula that comes out. Middletown has a small peninsula that comes out into the I-2 district off of Highland Extension. It's surrounded by residential, so there are houses in the I-2 that are on the right side, left side of this property, and across the street is in Walk Hill, and we have residents across the street, single-family houses. So we're just bringing it to the boards that we would like to kind of get your opinion and what kind of use, if you're looking for residential use for this area, if you're looking for flex spaces or tenant fit-up spaces. We proposed maybe a single occupant or a two contractor occupant. It's more of a tenant fit-up. Could be a little bit of retail, could be a contractor, could have some traffic coming in. Maybe it's an HVAC guy, a plumbing guy. One of the tenants that Brian was thinking was, what was the tenant that you were thinking for? He has a tenant that he rents a building now.
Uh-huh.
So he was thinking of bringing him over. I think he's an HVAC contractor. So that's kind of what the project is. We have 11,000, roughly 12,000 square foot building. It's probably going to be, it slopes in the back, so we're probably going to use the building as retainage, keep the level lot, have 2 accesses from Highland Extension. We're trying to keep minimum traffic. We're trying to just keep, it would be 1 or 2 trucks, probably a day, and we'd have a schedule on our plan showing where that would happen. So that's kind of what we're proposing as the project. And we just wanted to get some feedback from the board, what you thought about it.
Yeah, this is kind of a difficult site to deal with. I mean, we didn't set the zone, so it is an industrial zone. I'm sure there's going to be some backlash because of where it is, but we'll work it out. And it's the first we're hearing that you're willing to try to do something a little bit different, too.
Yeah.
It would have to be a permitted use under the I-2. So whatever you're proposing to go there would have to fall within there.
It's a commercial flex space, so it should fall into that category.
Sure, any tenant, though, if we granted the broad of commercial flex, once a tenant comes in, they're going to have to come back to us for approval.
Yeah, we understand that.
Did you, that terminology, did you see that anywhere in our code by any chance? It's the first I'm hearing it.
I did not see that in there. I don't believe that language is in there.
Okay.
So it was kind of tricky with the industrial. We're trying to get away from the industrial. We're not processing. We're not going to be cutting metal. We're not making watches there. That wasn't what we
No
intended.
manufacturing.
Yeah, there's not going to be processing water. We're not going to be, chemicals and bringing chemicals in and doing
Right.
an actual industrial process. We're not doing what Pepsi or, Frito-Lay in the back, popcorners.
Okay.
An industrial place. We're not expecting that. We don't want that because we have residents to the right of us, in front of us, and I don't think we want that. We want to
That'll
just
keep your
try to
traffic,
that.
that'll keep your traffic down.
Definitely keep the traffic down, yes.
How many spots do you have, parking spots?
I believe we have, we have 11 spaces, including the one handicap. We're thinking maybe 4 or 5 employees, not many employees.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be retail, you wouldn't have customers coming there no matter what you decided to put in?
Well, if it was retail, if it was a contractor, if it was, Brian's a contractor, if it was an HVAC guy, he would come in, and maybe you'd have a customer come in and look at units or look at, HVAC units or look at plumbing supplies, but it's not going to be a retail where we're going to have, shelving for retail space. It's more
Or a showroom.
consulting. It's more of a consulting from a contractor base.
Kind of
yeah.
like by appointment only type of thing?
Yeah, kind of like that, yeah.
Well, that's more pleasing to me than throwing a warehouse there and have trucks coming in and out all day. I don't, any opinions?
There had been a previous incarnation where there was discussion of a strip mall, a small, like all retail, which I think would have been,
It's on the back, that was,
How about that?
it was previously, it was approved, when was it?
Yeah, 2012, it was extended for 4 years.
Yeah.
And then approval lapsed, so it was, looks like a tenant fit up for about 6 units, about 8,000 square feet, 8,200, I believe. So we put that as the old map, just to show that that was approved.
Right.
And it was extended for a certain time, but then it lapsed.
that was definitely prior to my time on this board. I applaud your efforts with what you're trying to go forward with now.
Okay, great.
So it seems, anybody else with the opinion that commercial flex?
I like it.
Okay. All right, so it seems like the commercial flex theory, we'll just look in the code to make sure we can make that work for the eye.
Right, well, if it's identified under the I-2 as some type of commercial space, then that would be fine.
Okay.
And then, just like with the bicycle shop, when we had approved the 3 bays, and then when they came in individually, we granted each one.
Okay. So we have a little homework to do, or look, in the I-2 zone, how does the commercial flex work?
Okay. Yeah, I can identify
Whatever
that.
business is in that zone.
It's just the parking, though, may be a problem with 11,000 square feet. And if it's warehouse or wholesale, coming up to the parking count.
Yeah. Remember, we have great power.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, yeah, let's start with that. We'll look at it from a different perspective now.
Okay. We did have we were looking for, there was a traffic study that was requested. I think it went to county review already for a traffic. We
Yeah.
feel that the traffic study was, for a small project to have a $10,000 traffic study for, 1 or 2 trucks a day. We tried to, we foiled, Pepsi had put a 30,000 square foot building on Industrial Place. There was no traffic study on that, and we do have a sound study that was done.
Yeah.
But they did increase, their square footage tremendously. So we were trying to foil that to understand because I know the engineer did say there was a known problem at the intersection of Industrial Place and Highland Avenue Extension,
Right.
which is about 1,000 feet away. So we'd like to know if we could try to stay away from the traffic study to
The only
save
reason why we
some
brought
engineering
that up
cost.
is that the town of Wallkill
Okay,
and the county both recommended it. So we put it out there, I believe on Industrial Place, PepsiCo, which is the town of Wallkill, not us.
no, I understand.
And
Yeah.
there's another business, Polycraft, and
And the
in the junkyard.
Yeah, the junkyard,
Right.
yeah.
Because of where it was, nothing was requested because it's zoned strictly industrial and that's all that's there. I don't know, did Polycraft do any study at all? I don't think so, did they?
No.
Maybe you could piggyback onto that. Well, give us an idea of traffic flow. Once we get what you're going to do there, maybe you could do some type of a preliminary review of what you think traffic would be for there,
Okay,
okay? Because a warehouse would be different than this commercial flex,
okay.
all right? We'll see what we can do with that.
So we just have to try to just narrow down what our tenant
Yeah.
space is going to be,
But just
what the occupancy is going to be.
keep in mind that the county and the town of Wallkill have recommended a
Okay.
traffic study.
And it would have to go back to them as
Right.
well.
Right.
I think if the submission to the county, if we had the plan developed more, and then they saw what kind of space it was.
Yes.
And we had a narrative showing, what kind of traffic we anticipate on the site, I think that might mitigate any issue for
Yeah.
having a traffic study.
Because in all honesty, they needed a better plan before they even went
Yeah.
forward. Yeah,
Okay.
With any more detailed
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes
recommendations.
sense. Okay.
Yeah, strip mall, I imagine you'd have more traffic flow than a warehouse.
Oh, definitely, yes. Especially 6 if there was tenants. If there's
Yeah.
5 tenants there, and yes. Okay.
So I just think we both need our due diligence on working out what a commercial flex, how it fits into the zone, and we can go from there. But
Yeah, you could start working on an EAF, though.
We have submitted the AAF.
Okay.
So there was some environmental concerns on the property as well, and we feel we can, if there's any digging that we would test and that we would have any contaminated soil that came up, that we would have to truck off-site and we'd have to take care of some soil. So the AAF did trigger some potential contaminated soil from 30, 60 years ago when it was
Right.
I don't know if it was a knife place or somebody, it was a manufacturing in that
Because as you
area.
develop plans, our engineer will have to look at them also.
Yeah, okay.
Where did you submit the EAF?
We submitted it for planning review.
Okay.
There was one comment we did have one comment on the AF, and we did respond to the comments on the AF. We updated the AF. We had typical, the square footage didn't match the deed and things like that, but we did comment on the AF already. We had one comment, or response and comment.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming in.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Okay, anybody else have anything else? Comments about what?
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second. All in favor? Aye.